Hello, welcome into another episode of the Matt Report, brought to you by Cobos Insurance Center, your Grange independent agent. Big week. Obviously, we're in between the district tournament and the state tournament, which means there was some awesome action last weekend. There's going to be some great action this weekend. We narrowed that field down. We had that huge field from Lorraine County schools that were district qualifiers, narrowed it down to 20 state qualifiers. But we actually added, we're up to 21. We're legal now in Lorraine County. We added a 21st state qualifier with Nick Hickman of Keystone, or not Nick Hickman, sorry, Luke Moore of Keystone, the heavyweight, was able to advance into the state tournament bracket. He was the number 5 seed at the Perry district, which makes him the state alternate. In his Concy semifinal, he took on Hubbard's Nick Bowser, and it was a tight match. He ended up losing 11-7. But Bowser got injured in his placement match, the third place match, and had to pull out of the tournament Tuesday morning. And Luke Moore got the call, and he is now in the state tournament field. So we added a 21st state qualifier to our field. So congratulations to Luke Moore and the Keystone program. So let's move into some obviously 21 great performances, a lot more action than that. Some guys that didn't make it still had some great performances. But we're going to move into the top three. So obviously these are going to be good ones because these are, top of the pile of some really big week performances. So segment is brought to you by Century 21 Deanna Realty. This is our top three performers. And we're going to start with Columbia sophomore Cole Schulke. Cole went 4-0 with a pin and two major decisions to win the 106-pound district championship at Garfield Heights, the Division III district tournament. Just an amazing performance by Cole Schulke. He's unranked in the state, but was able to knock off three ranked opponents en route to winning that title. He opened with a pin, but then had a 15-2 major decision over South Range's Hunter Newell, who's ranked number 14 in the state. That was in the quarterfinals. Then went and won 10-0 over Waynedale's Caden Heller, who's ranked number 7 in the state. You're talking about a top 10 guy in the semifinals. 10-0, didn't allow any points, got a major decision, bonus points. Just a very dominating win over a top level guy. Followed it all up with an 8-4 win over Rootstown's Bryce Edwards, who's ranked number 9 in the state. So just a fantastic run by Cole Schulke there to win that 106-pound title over a trio of really tough dudes. Next up, Jake Evans, Elyria Senior. Jake Evans went 4-0 with two pins and a major decision to win the 182-pound district championship at the Division I tournament at Perrysburg. Jake Evans just had an amazing performance as well. He's ranked number 3 in the state, so it's kind of like, well, he should have probably done really well there. But in the championship match, he ends up winning 3-1 over Hudson Hightower of St. Edward, who was the projected state champion and ranked number 1 in the state. Just a nice back and forth tight match. Jake Evans scores the takedown in the third period to pull that one out. So now he's probably going to the state tournament feeling like he beat the number 1 guy, and he should be the number 1 guy, and that state title is probably his to have. Couple that with the fact that he got an amazing draw. Hudson Hightower and Sal Perrine, who are ranked number 1 and 2 in the state, are on the opposite bracket of Jake Evans, plus Ambergy, who's ranked number 2 in the state at 195 and dropped down a weight class, all battling it on the other half of the bracket. Jake Evans has got a clear path to the state final if he takes care of business. So really good draw for Jake Evans there. Our third top performer, Nate Burnett, Elyria Jr., also district champion. Obviously a theme here among these top 3 performers. Nate went 4-0 with 2 pins to win the 145-pound championship at the Perrysburg Division I district tournament. He had a couple wins over top 10 state-ranked guys. Starting in the semifinals, he beat Tommy West, who actually lives in Avon Lake from St. Edward, 5-2. Tommy's ranked number 9 in the state. And then he capped it off with a 3-2 victory in tiebreaker overtime over Jack Haskin of Toledo Whitmer, who is ranked number 2 in the state, who is expected to meet Nate who Nate is ranked number 1, if I didn't mention before. They're supposed to meet in the state final for that state tournament next weekend. So great performances by all these guys winning district titles. So again, our top 3 performers are Cole Schulke of Columbia, Nate Burnett of Elyria, and Jake Evans of Elyria. And that segment was brought to you by Century 21 Deanna Realty. So Just to kind of talk about some of the really good district performances. Want to start with ones that were guys who actually got what is considered on paper to be upsets, beating guys who are ranked higher than them, or unranked guys beating ranked guys. We already went over the ones from Cole Schulke. Like I said, he had three of them basically. He's unranked and ended up beating three state ranked guys. So that kind of tops the list as far as guys who pulled off big upsets this weekend. We already obviously mentioned Jake Evans as well. A couple other big ones. Connor Holm, freshman of Elyria, had two big wins over state-ranked guys. First, he beat number 15 Cole McKinley of Sylvania Northview. Beat him in the consolation second round, 6-0, blanked him. Really top-level performance there. And then in the Consi semi, which is the match that got him into the state tournament and earned him a state tournament berth, he pinned Kenneth Lambert of Strongsville, who's ranked number 12 in the state. That was an amazing performance, big win, big explosion on the side of the mat. The Elyria Pioneers went crazy when that happened. That got him into that state tournament field, so a big win there for an unranked freshman from Elyria to advance at the 126-pound bracket down there in Division I state tournament. The other big win over a top-ranked guy was Eric Trinsky, who's a sophomore at Elyria at 152 pounds. After he advanced into the state tournament field with a win over Anthony Brady of Shaker Heights in the consolation semis, he went ahead and won a 4-2 tight decision over Daniel DeVera of Parma, who was ranked number 8 in the state, to take the number 3 seed out of the Perrysburg district. So he gets to go in as a 3 seed, beating a top 10 guy on the way. So he's going in with a lot of momentum. Some of the other big matches, big wins that I want to mention, and these are matches that maybe where a guy was ranked higher, but he still beat like a top level guy. Um, there's some really good ones of those as well. Cale Saxton, who's ranked number 6 in the state, beat Alanson Denkins of Perrysburg, who's ranked number 8 in the state in the semifinals at Perrysburg. Just an amazing back and forth matchup. Cale ends up winning that match 5-3 in tiebreaker overtime. They were obviously still tied after the sudden victory overtime. Cale won the flip for the first tiebreaker 32nd session, chose down, and Alanson rode him out. So all Alanson needs typically is a escape and then to stay away from getting taken down. He wins, but he couldn't get out from underneath Cale, so it looked like it was headed toward ultimate tiebreaker. So Saxon's able to get the tilt, expose the back for 2 counts from the ref, and ends up winning that 5-3. It was just an amazing, dramatic match. Great win for Cale Saxton. Colin Noel, sorry, Valeria at 113 pounds. Big win in the quarterfinals over Emilio Arellano from Toledo Whitmer. He's ranked number 10 in the state, and Colin kind of took him apart. 12-2 major decision. Really dominant victory over a top 10 guy in the state. That kind of helped spark him into his second straight state qualification. So a nice win there for him. We mentioned Nate Burnett. Burnett is one of our top performers. Had those 2 wins over 2 top 10 guys as well. Obviously, really solid work there. Enrique Munguia had a big win over Nate Uri of Olmsted Falls. He's ranked number 9 in the state. Enrique's number 3 in the semifinals. He kind of got a shutout win there at 6-0. Then he took on Patty Gallagher of St. Edward, who's ranked number 1 in the state. Also happens to be ranked number 1 in the country, top wrestler at that weight class. Enrique Munguia ended up losing that match 12-7. But at one time, early in the first period, not only scored a takedown on Gallagher, but actually near fall as well. Got a 2-second near fall, 4-point move to take a little, like a 6-2 lead at that point, I believe. Just a really nice offensive burst. Probably gives him a little bit of confidence heading into the state final. He's got a brutal weight class to deal with there. You got 3 nationally ranked guys with Gallagher, Munguia, and Derek Fields of Brunswick. So that's going to be a very tough one. And Munguia and Fields are kind of projected to meet in the semifinals. So that's going to be a good matchup. A couple other ones, Ruben Pino Lorenzano. The same guy he faced twice, Ty Stricko of Canfield. He's ranked number 13 in the state. Ruben beat him in the quarterfinals 7-6, a very tight match. Then had to face him in the third place match and end up beating him 13-3, a major decision. So really widened that gap in the second matchup. So a couple of quality wins there. Some of the other ones, Nick Hickman of Keystone, he had a real big win in the consolation semis, which obviously gets him into the state tournament field for the second straight year. He's a two-time state qualifier. He ended up pinning Stephen Mara of West Branch, who's ranked number 16 in the state. So a really good win there for him as well. Then Jeremiah McKee of Wellington, in his quarterfinal matchup, he took on Andrew Sass of Mapleton, who's ranked number 12 in the state, and pinned him in 3 minutes and 10 seconds. So a dominating win over a state ranked guy. Great way to head into the state tournament. So just kind of want to mention our 21 state qualifiers because I didn't get to mention them all here. But we mentioned Cale Saxton, Mason Bingham, Avon Heavyweight is going again. Those two guys both qualified last year, so they're going in as back-to-back state qualifiers. Kale's actually going in for his third time. He was a state placer as a sophomore. Lyria is taking 7 of their 14, so half their field is going. Alex Green, sophomore at 106, going. Just an amazing run for him. We've kind of been documenting that during our stories and our coverage if you've been watching. We mentioned Colin Noel at 113 and the freshman Connor Holm at 126. Nate Burnett, who's ranked number 1 in the state at 145. Eric Trensky at 152, Enrique Munguia at 160, and Jake Evans at 182. Zach Orsino of North Ridgeville, working hard. He's a junior. Been working hard the last few years. He broke through and got to the state tournament this year, so he gets to kind of get his feet wet, and then on hopefully to a good postseason this season, and then a great senior season. And then in Division Two, Ruben Pina Lorenzano of Firelands, Nick Hickman and Luke Moore of Keystone, we mentioned. Chris Bennett of Vermilion. Travis Owen of Black River in Division Three. Cole Schulke of Columbia in Division Three. Jeremiah McKee of Wellington in Division Three are all our qualifiers from Lorain County programs. And then we have a couple other, Chronicle coverage area guys from Lorain County outside of that go to school outside Lorain County schools. Donovan Palmer, Lutheran West senior, lives in North Ridgeville. We'll be watching him and keeping track on him. And a trio of St. Edward wrestlers. The two Bennetts, Ryan and Evan, both live in Avon. That's Ryan's a freshman, Evan's a junior. And Tommy West, which we mentioned as well as a senior, he lives in Avon Lake. So we're going to be keeping an eye on all those guys this weekend. So that pretty much is going to be the breakdown of the state tournament. Great district tournament performances. We'll be back in a week to kind of do a season wrap up, let you know what happened at the state tournament, kind of talk about maybe a little bit what's going to happen next year. Maybe kind of have some fun in this last show. We're in the penultimate show now, as Kristen likes to say, and we're going to have the season finale next week. We hope everybody's tuning in. Again, thank you to Cobus Insurance Center, our title sponsor, WOL for putting on the show, Kristen behind the camera, and for you guys for stopping in and watching this week's episode of the Matt Report. We'll see you next week.